bought a Tricofit device for Christmas and today I will show you how to use it. On the left side you can see the catch lever and the on and off lever. On the right side there is the stitch releaser lever. From my experience it's best to keep it on 0 all the time. On the front you can see the row counter. It doesn't have a reset button, so you have to rotate the knobs manually. And this is the main knob on the device. Make sure always to leave the bars on top aligned. First let's make a single bed cast on. Move the edge springs on the front bed to the sides. Now slide the lock to the left side of the machine. Raise the needed needles on the front bed, then raise 2 additional needles to the right side. I will drop the front bed so you can see better. Prepare the yarn for the knitting. Rotate the knob until both bars are aligned. Reset the row counter if you want to count the stitches. Make sure both levers on the sides of the Tricofit are set to 0. Now place the device on the needle bed. Take the eyelet with the yarn and insert it into the device. The yarn must go underneath the decker needle. Now pull the yarn from the eyelet, make a slip knot and attach it to the third needle from right to left. In other words, the knot must be attached in the hook of the first needle on which you want to cast on. Don't make the slip knot too tight, it must be the size of a stitch. Now wind the yarn that's coming from the eyelet as shown in the video and bring the needles back to working position. You may attach a clothespin to the yarn tail. Now slide the Tricofit device to the left and align the decker needle with the second needle. Pull down the catch lever to attach the device securely to the front bed. Then move the left lever up. Make sure the latches of the first 3 needles are open and the slip knot is staying behind the latch, then start turning the knob. Rotate the knob slowly until you cast on the first few stitches. Now you can see how the device works. After you cast on all of the needed needles, make sure the bars are aligned, pull the catch lever and tilt the device. Then remove the eyelet with the yarn. I forgot to put the lever to 0 position, but that's not a big deal if the bars on top are aligned. Put the eyelet with the yarn into the jaws of the lock. Make sure there are no missed stitches and place the edge springs on the last working needles. Push the 2 rightmost needles all the way up, then bring them down out of working position. Set the lock to end the stitch size for the main knitting, insert the black strippers and continue knitting. Now let's use the Tricofit to make a chain stitch cast off. I will stop knitting with the lock on the right side and I will disconnect both locks. Make sure the left lever on the Tricofit is set to 0. The lever on the right side is called a stitch releaser. You can set it to 1 if you want the device to drop the stitches after making the cast off. I recommend you to keep this lever set to 0 because otherwise you may drop the knitting and ruin it. Now take the eyelet with the yarn and insert it into the device. Move the edge springs out of the way of the Tricofit. Now raise 2 additional needles to the right side of the knitting. Take the yarn and wind it around the rightmost needle. Slide the Tricofit to the left, align the decker needle with the empty needle on the machine and pull the catch lever to attach the device to the bed. Set the left lever up, make sure the latches of the first 3 needles are open and the knitting stays behind the latches, then start turning the knob. Remove the weights if you have any attached to the knitting because they will pull the decker needle down and it may be hitting the striking comps. When you are done, pull the catch lever down and remove the device. Take the eyelet out of the Tricofit. Push the leftmost needle up, then run the yarn behind the latch and into the hook. Then pull the needle down to knit off the stitch. Leave a yarn tail and cut the yarn from the eyelet. Now pull the yarn tail through the last stitch. At this point you can remove the knitting from the machine. Now you can see both ends of the piece. The cast-on looks exactly the same as the cast-off. Isn't that what every machine knitter dreams of? Now I will show you how to make an open tubular cast-off. The yarn is coming from the rightmost needle on the back bed, so I will use a different strength of yarn for the cast-off. If you knit the rightmost stitch on the front bed manually, you can use the same yarn to make the cast-off. First, move the edge springs and the trip cam for the row counter out of the way. I will use a contrasting color yarn. Raise the rightmost needle and knit off the first stitch. Now raise 2 needles to the right and wind the yarn around the rightmost needle. Take the Tricofit, make sure both levers are set to 0, place it on the bed and insert the eyelet with the yarn. The yarn must always pass under the decker needle. Align the decker needle with the second needle, attach it to the front bed and push the left lever up. Make sure the latches of the first 3 needles are open and start rotating the knob. Set the left lever to 0, detach the Tricofit and slide it to the left. Now take the leftmost stitch, stretch it and hook it onto the opposite needle on the back bed. Don't stretch the stitch too much because it will be visible at the end. Rotate the Tricofit device and place it on the back bed. Slide it to the right until you align the decker needle with the last non-working needle and pull the catch to attach it to the back bed. You can see up close. Push the lever up to turn on the device and make sure the latches of the first needles are open. Now turn the knob in the direction of the arrow. Don't forget to support me by liking the video. Tell me what tricks do you know about using this device. Push the lever down and remove the Tricofit. Take the yarn and cut it. Raise the rightmost needle on the back bed, wind the yarn behind the latch into the hook and pull the needle all the way down. Use the orange tool to pull the yarn tail through the last stitch. Now you can remove the knitting from the machine. This is the final result. You can also use yarn from a second ball to make the cast-off. I knitted several rows with this green yarn and now I will use white yarn to make the cast-off. Raise the rightmost needle all the way and use the second yarn to knit off the first stitch. Raise 2 needles to the right and wind the yarn around the rightmost needle. You can leave the tail on the back bed, but I advise you to put it between the beds and attach a clothespin to its end. Take the Tricofit device. Make sure both levers are set to 0, put it on the front beds and insert the eyelet with the yarn. Now slide it to the left, align the decker needle with the second needle, attach it to the front bed and push the left lever up. Make sure the latches of the first 3 needles are open and start rotating the knob. Put the left lever down, move the Tricofit and remove the eyelet with the yarn. Cut the yarn from the eyelet, raise the leftmost needle all the way, then wind the yarn behind the latch into the hook and pull the needle down. Pull the yarn tail with the orange tool and remove the knitting from the machine. As you can see, we have a perfect looking chain stitch cast off. Now I will show you how to make the cast off when not using all needles. As you can see, my needles are arranged in 1-to-1 division. First, you need to raise the needles between the working ones. Move the lock to the right and take the eyelet with the yarn. Raise 2 needles to the right and wind the yarn around the rightmost needle. Place the Tricofit on the machine and insert the eyelet with the yarn. Both levers of the Tricofit are set to 0. Now slide the device to the left and align the decker needle with the second needle. Push the left lever up and check the latches of the first few needles. Now start rotating the knob in the direction of the arrow. This device is pretty simple to use, but it can make your life easier. If you haven't skipped through the video, you probably already have learned how to use it. Now you have to repeat the same steps. Remove the device, wind the yarn around the leftmost needle and pull the yarn tail through the last stitch. Now remove the knitting from the machine. This is the final result. You have a great looking cast off. Now I will tell you how to make a cast off for double bed knitting. You have 2 options here. The first one is to transfer all stitches from the back bed to the opposite needles on the front bed and make a single bed chain stitch cast off. After transferring the stitches to the front bed, you may want to knit 1 row before you make the cast off. The second way is to cast off the stitches on the front bed, then cast off the stitches on the back bed. If you choose the second way, you will have 2 chains at the end of the piece. Now I will show you how to cast off several stitches at the center of the knitting. If you are knitting on both beds, transfer the stitches you want to cast off on the front bed. Raise the first needle that you need to cast off and manually knit the stitch using the yarn from the eyelet. Now wind the yarn carefully around the second needle to the right. Drop the yarn tail between the beds and attach a clothespin to the end. Both levers on the Tricofit are set to 0. Place it on the front bed and put the eyelet with the yarn into it. Align the decker needle the same way as before, attach the Tricofit and press the left lever up. Make sure the latches of the needles are open and start rotating the knob until you cast off the desired number of stitches. Stop rotating the knob when both bars on top are aligned. Set the lever to 0 and slide the Tricofit to the left. Maybe this is the only time when you will need to use the row counter. Cut the yarn and carefully remove the device from the machine. There will be a loop of yarn and a yarn tail. To secure the last stitch, you need to pull the yarn tail through the loop. Then put both yarn tails between the beds and remove the stitches from the needles. Use a weight to pull the stitches down and continue knitting. This is the final result. Now I will share several tips for using the Tricofit device. Always remove all weights from the knitting before using the device. If you have weights attached to the knitting, the device may get jammed. If your knitting is too heavy, you may put it into your lap while making the cast off. The second tip is to pull the yarn from the tension mast or loosen the tension. If there is a lot of tension on the yarn, the stitch may get too tight and the decker needle may crush into the striker plates. This may also happen if the knitting is too heavy. A simple clothespin at the end of the yarn will ensure that the first stitch will be knitted off properly. Also, always check if the latches on the first 3 needles are open before starting to rotate the knob. If you want to use the stitch releaser, you need to put the lever to 0 every time before reaching the last needles of your project. If the stitch releaser is engaged, you can get past the last stitch, then your knitting will fold, the stitches will unravel, and you may need to start knitting your project from the beginning. If you keep the lever set to 0, you will need to manually remove the knitting from the machine, but this thing can never happen to you. Now I will show you one Easter egg. If you look closely, you will notice the letters Passap engraved under the Pfaff label. That's all for today. Have a nice day and see you in my next video.